Today, Cooking Mama Cookstar definitely needs a little more time on the fire. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where we are all eggs now. All eggs for all time.
Everything is eggs. All matter is just smaller eggs made to look like larger eggs.
Sky eggs, wood eggs, leaf eggs, water eggs, stone eggs. Sadly, no fire eggs.
No, that's just an omelet.
Curious about Stadia but don't want to pay the $130 for Pro tier or the $10 monthly subscription? Of course. Nobody wants to pay those prices for the right to buy 38 games, only a handful of which are even from this calendar year. Well, Google is finally rolling out free sign-ups to the service. You can only play in 1080p and without surround sound or HDR because you're a pleb, but you can still buy games. Okay, you do get access to the following free games: Destiny 2, The Collection, Grid, Guilt, SteamWorld Dig 2, SteamWorld Quest, Serious Sam Collection, Spitlings, Stacks on Stacks on Stacks, and Thumper. And you can play them all in Chrome on your computer or laptop. Not your TV though, unless you get a Chromecast Ultra and the Stadia controller. Yeah, the part where this is free is still up for debate.
Steam-Forged Games is retooling their upcoming Resident Evil 3 board game after feedback that the Resident Evil 2 board game was too dark. Not too dark as in too grim, like too dark visually, with not enough contrast to actually just read the game. The RE3 game will look much brighter, but will still feature the same level of getting torn apart by zombies darkness, though.
Valve has released a motherload of aggregate sales data for games sold on Steam over the past several years, and if you thought you could get rich by making video games, we need to have a soft, sobering talk. Thanks to some heroic guesstimation by Ars Technica, we've learned that 4 out of 5 Steam games selling for actual money never crack $5,000 in the first 2 weeks of release. Those 2 weeks are the crucial time to get your game out of the crap mire of assware plaguing Steam before being sucked under the bog, never to be noticed by algorithm senpai again. So, grim hope for indies, it seems. Now, Steam also produced a bunch of fun graphs that show how legions more games are clearing the $5,000 mark than would have been expected following a pre-2014 trend line. And in fact, the graphs also helpfully show the same trend for games clearing $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, and $250,000. But when you chart that against Ars Technica's mined estimates, it shows that while more games have been making more money, exponentially more games aren't even clearing $5,000. Sure, some games with a slow start may ride a resurgence later in their lifetime, but not every game is going to be Rainbow Six Siege. Games with AAA marketing budgets are naturally going to take tons of cash right away, and indie titles lacking a tangy zip are way more likely to become part of the scrolling sea of sorrow. Want a punchline for this sad shit? Take some comfort that all the infuriating asset flips we suffer through on Watch and Play are not only critical failures, but also financial failures. Yay!
Good news! You and beloved English man of laughter Stephen Fry finally have something in common. You both recently started playing Animal Crossing, but according to Steve's, you're on a first-name basis now, delightful Twitter account, he's feeling a little lost with his desert island experience? To quote, "Well now, I've started this thing called #Animal Crossing. I'm very much taken by the voices of hosts Timmy and Tommy, but I'm so far somewhat perplexed by the point of it all. Is it, in this sense, a metaphor for life itself? I hope not, for I may have pitched my tent ill-advisedly." Come on, Steve, I bet that's not the first tent you've ever pitched ill-advisedly.
Way back in August, you remember the before times? Anyway, we did a story about Cooking Mama Cookstar and about how it was being touted to include blockchain technology and how the publisher's press release disappeared. Well, the whole thing gets way weirder because the game finally came out and then immediately got removed from the Nintendo eShop. Despite claims to the contrary from the game's official Twitter, it also doesn't seem to be available in physical form anywhere. And then a rumor shot around the internet that it was overheating Switch consoles because it was running crypto mining software in the background. As near as outlets like IGN and Nintendo Wire can parse together, the truth is far less dramatic, but no less weird. According to someone who managed to get the game in the hours-long window it was on sale, no, it does not have crypto mining software in it. That would be nigh impossible to get past Nintendo's quality control checks. But considering the strange comments back in August about blockchains and the sketchy-looking publisher website, many people were willing to believe it. So why was it running so hot and overheating consoles? Well, according to an anonymous member of the development team speaking to Screen Rant, because it was made in Unity by people who hadn't made a game before, so it just runs poorly. But simply being poorly optimized isn't necessarily a reason for a game to get pulled from the eShop, so why did it? And why was this new Cooking Mama game being developed by people who were new to making games? They've made lots of these. Well, it turns out that Office Create, the developer who created Cooking Mama originally, and indeed who for many years changed their name to Cooking Mama Limited, are not the developers of this game. In fact, it's been a little difficult to track down who the developers are. According to IGN, an early Australian ratings classification listed the developer as an educational software company called First Playable. And while that classification was later removed and replaced with one that didn't mention the devs, First Playable has now listed it on their website. So now we know who the developers are. And now that the publisher's website actually is a website, which it wasn't for a long time, what was the problem? Well, even though they're not developing the game, Office Create are still the owners of the Cooking Mama IP, and when the game was not up to their standards, they supposedly asked First Playable and Planet Entertainment to not release the game until it was better. So when it got released anyway, Office Create allegedly used their contacts at Nintendo to pull it from the eShop and halt physical production. No word from any party on when it could return to the eShop, but you can at least order a physical copy from Planet Entertainment on Amazon. And I do want to talk a little bit about that secretive publisher, Planet Entertainment, aka Planet Digital Partners, who described themselves in an August 29 press release as representing an all-star team of game industry leaders, including the former PlayStation Europe president, doesn't say which one, the former CEO of Guitar Hero, which, since Guitar Hero isn't a company, could be the former CEO of Harmonix, Red Octane, Neversoft, Vicarious Visions. Guitar Hero has been passed around a lot. And the founder of Take-Two Interactive, which would be a neat trick as he sadly died last year, before this press release. Now, thanks to GameIndustry.biz, who actually has contacts, we know that Planet's director is former Take-Two and Red Octane CEO Kelly Sumner, and former PlayStation Europe president Chris Deering is on their board. As for the blockchain stuff, apparently their funding plan all centered around creating a new crypto token on the Ethereum blockchain. But as for using blockchain tech in Cooking Mama, the anonymous developer from First Playable claims that was just someone from Planet Digital, probably President Michael Stiegelmeier, using buzzwords to try and get investors interested. Indeed, the anonymous dev doesn't think anyone at First Playable would even know how to do that. So, the TLDR is, Cooking Mama Cookstar is real. It was developed by the very keen but not totally competent First Playable and published by the comically incompetent Planet Entertainment. It was not up to the standards of IP holder Office Create, nobody knows when you'll be able to buy it again, and it's not going to use your Switch to mine Bitcoin, but it might make your Switch overheat because it wasn't made super well. Gameplay-wise, it's apparently very similar to other Cooking Mama games. We give it 7 out of 10.
And I award Graham's performance a 10 out of 10, which means he's the winner of the prestigious Longest Checkpoint Story of the Year award.
Great. What do I win?
A glass of water.
Thank God.
Coming up, gaming PC builder Main Gear is retooling their PC cases to make an emergency ventilator named LIV. Breaths per minute are adjustable from 12 to 30, but I'm going to hold out for version 2, which you can overclock up to 45. Good news! No. Good news! It's been so long since I've said it.